you have played a game
I
recently as
did.
well. What was
Yeah, I was looking
it?
for something kind of short and sweet to play. It was on Game Pass. Cocoon, which I know was created by one
Annapurna,
of
I
the
think, right?
developers from.
Or is Annapurna the publisher?
Well, that was a publisher. I'm pretty sure one of the developers, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. I'm pretty sure it was one of the developers from either Inside or Limbo. I know there was like it was a
Ooh.
team of two, and they kind of split after a certain point. And I'm pretty sure one of the guys went on to make this, which you can kind of feel as you go through. I mean, the way the game kind of starts out, like there's no big preface to it or big like initial narrative. Like the story kind of unfolds as you play. But it's this cool little puzzle game. It's not exactly what I expected, based on a little bit of previews I did see, but what I got was cool. I mean, interesting puzzles. The art direction is pretty simplistic. It's kind of like a futuristic insect world. That's the best way I can kind of describe it. So it's an interesting aesthetic. The game's not too long. I want to say I beat the whole thing in like under 5 hours. The biggest thing I liked about it, without going too much deeper than that, is how easy this game like was just to play. And I don't mean like the puzzles were like super easy. I think I mentioned this last year when we talked about, oh, what game was it? Tinykin. I think one of the things I
Hmm.
said about that game, this is a very different game, but that was a game that was just easy to play. Like it didn't put a lot of barriers in your way where you had to like
You mean they
stop and
don't
learn a
like?
system or read a menu or do
I
this.
was I was gonna say that they feel the need to explain how to solve it. You just kind of naturally figure it out
The
easily.
game just moved. It was very intuitive. You knew where to go just by walking around, and if you missed something, it kind of wrapped back around. This game's kind of the same way. Like it doesn't explain anything like directly, but the game just kind of unfolds in such a way that it naturally just makes sense. It's easy to play, and there are still challenges, of course, as you get to certain puzzles. Like I didn't find too much trouble with them. There were a couple of head scratchers in there, but fairly ingenious solutions. Like it's interesting way they've set up the puzzles. It's all about kind of taking these orbs that are in different worlds and kind of combining them and accessing them in such a way to open up weird portals. Like it's really hard to explain without playing it, but really
Hmm.
creative ways they handle the puzzles. One thing I liked about it too is my daughter's starting to play games a little more now. I didn't think she would care about this at all, but because it was so easy to just play, she was able to go through and actually solve puzzles I didn't think she'd be able to just by
Hmm.
naturally moving through the world and doing stuff. So she enjoyed it. I got a lot more enjoyment out of it. It's not a real long game, so I mean, I don't want to go too much in further into it or try to spoil anything. But if you like puzzle games and you have a good 4 hours to kind of spare over a weekend, there are worse ways you can spend your
How
time. I do recommend this.
how did
I'm
you
not gonna try to get a score or anything, but
how did you play it? Was this a Game Pass game or did you buy it?
yeah,
Was
no,
Game
it's Game
Pass?
Pass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you got Game Pass, just download it. Not a big download. I think it has cloud streaming too, which for this game that would work out fine. It's not like you have any kind of Twitch gameplay or anything. So if you're doing through cloud gaming, it's a little delayed or laggy. You'll still be able to run through it just fine. So it might even be on their mobile platform for Game Pass. I
Hmm.
haven't checked, but this would be a good mobile game. So if you are on your phone and you have access to it, and assuming it has touch controls, which I don't see why not. That was the other thing I liked about it. Like there is two buttons you press in the entire game, and one of them isn't even a button; it's a joystick. It's the joystick, and you have a button to like pick up something and put it down. That's it. Super simple
That's nice.
mechanics. And I think that's why my daughter liked it too. It wasn't a whole lot to have to time or figure out weird button combinations or remember what everything did. Just very simple to play. Still a challenge to it from a puzzle perspective, but as far as just playing the game, it had some fun boss segments which I wasn't expecting. They're not real like drawn out boss battles, but they kind of wrap some of the puzzle elements that you were kind of building up to a certain point into the boss battles, and you kind of like put them to the test for a few minutes, and then moves on to a new segment and kind of rinses and repeats. But it's cool. I'll leave it at that. I recommend it. If you like puzzle games, then you have a few hours to burn. Definitely a good way to spend it.
And then it's Annapurna, which I feel like for the most part I think that's kind of they're almost like a triple A, aren't they? Like considered like a triple A indie studio at this point, where like they're not triple A, but they're like super high quality on almost everything they make. Um,
Yeah, and everything they've done, at least recently, has gotten good critical reception. They did the what Stray, wasn't that one of the ones they did? Annapurna. Am
Probably
I?
they do a lot of games. I just know
But
Cocoon was one of the titles that was included, I think, in the Game Awards' indie category, and this is one of those ones where people are like, that shouldn't be there. That's taking a spot for a true indie game. Kind of like
I didn't hear that
Dave the
much about
Diver
this
or
one.
stuff.
No, Dave the Diver is the one they had an issue with. Dave the Diver is not an indie game by definition, but it is put into the category of indie
Um,
game of the year. This game I feel like deserves it. Like
Deserves it.
to
Okay.
my understanding, Annapurna Interactive is still an independent publisher, and this is still a pretty small team. Like I think this still qualifies in a better sense as an independent game than Dave the Diver does. But we can talk more about
We'll
that when
talk
we get to
about
our
that,
Game
yeah,
Awards
in a bit.
conversation.